All right, today we're going to talk about something that is absolutely critical for anyone in the mortgage industry. We're looking at this collision course, really, between artificial intelligence and, well, the inevitable wave of regulation that's coming with it. If you're a lender, this is something you just can't afford to stick your head in the sand about. So let's get right into it.
So let me just ask you this, straight up. If you're in the mortgage space, think about it. AI is already here. It's in your workflows, right, from underwriting all the way to marketing. But are you really ready for the regulators, for that intense scrutiny? Because let me tell you, it is coming. There's no doubt about it.
This quote, it really frames this whole conversation perfectly. The debate about if AI will be regulated, that's over. That train has left the station. It's a done deal. So the real question, the one you should be asking yourself, is about preparation. When that examiner comes knocking on your door, are you going to be ready to defend your models, your processes, and every single one of your outcomes?
Okay, so this brings us right to the heart of the problem, this central issue facing every single lender out there. I'm calling it the AI accountability gap. And trust me, it's a really dangerous place to find yourself, because this gap, well, that's where all the risk is hiding.
And here's the absolute key takeaway. You've got state and federal governments basically in a food fight over who gets to write the AI rulebook. But while they're arguing, you are not off the hook. Not at all. The legal reality is actually super simple. If an AI system touches a consumer outcome, you, the lender, you own that risk. All of it, 100%. And this slide, it really shows you the chaos perfectly. It's a regulatory tug of war. On one side, you've got states like California and Colorado, and they're not waiting around. They're charging ahead, creating this messy patchwork of different laws. But then, on the other side, you've got Washington, D.C. pushing back, trying to create one unified national framework. Now, imagine you're a national lender. This isn't just confusing, it is a total compliance minefield.
And this timeline just drives that point home. It shows you how volatile this whole situation is. Look, right now, you're already dealing with these state laws. But see that date? A federal framework is officially on the way, and when it gets here, you can bet it's going to clash with what the states have already put in place. What does that mean for you? Well, it means legal battles and a whole lot of uncertainty for the foreseeable future.
Okay, so let's get real about the stakes here. You might be thinking, isn't AI just AI? Why is this a bigger deal for mortgages than it is for, an Amazon recommendation engine? The answer is simple. The stakes are just fundamentally higher, and it is absolutely critical that you understand exactly why. This right here, this is probably the single most important idea to get your head around. In the mortgage world, AI doesn't eliminate risk, it magnifies it. Think of it like this. A small mistake is the whisper, but AI is the giant amplifier. A tiny data error, a subtle bias in a model, that doesn't just cause one little problem anymore. With AI, it can create thousands, even tens of thousands of compliance violations, literally in the blink of an eye.
I mean, just look at the environment this technology is operating in. We are talking about some of the most sensitive personal data a person has. And you're feeding that into workflows that are governed by these incredibly strict, totally unforgiving regulations. You know the ones, RESPA, TILA, TRID. These laws demand two things above all, precision and explainability. And guess what? Those are two things that AI, left to its own devices, often struggles with.
And let me be crystal clear about this next point. The days of shrugging your shoulders and just saying, the algorithm did it. Those days are gone, finished. Regulators are specifically targeting these opaque, black box models. So if you can't explain in plain English how your AI made a decision about a borrower, you're simply not going to survive an examination. Period.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem, we've talked about the incredibly high stakes. And I know, it probably sounds a little daunting, but here's the good news. It is not hopeless. Not by a long shot. In fact, there's a really clear, actionable playbook that you can start using right now to get way ahead of this curve. And it all boils down to 3 key moves. So here they are, your 3 pillars for success. First, building real governance. Second, completely rewriting your vendor oversight. And third, scaling your AI adoption deliberately. Let's break down what each of those actually means. All right, let's dive into that first move, building real governance. So what does that actually mean in practice? Well, look at this comparison. It's not about having some dusty slide deck policy sitting on a shelf. That's a paper-based defense that only tells you about a problem after the harm is done. What you need is what's on the right, operational governance, something that's baked into your daily workflows, giving everyone real-time visibility so you can spot issues before they become big, costly problems. And this quote, you should probably print this out and tape it to your wall. This is a direct warning shot from regulators. The defense of, oh, we just rely on our vendor, that is not going to fly. You cannot outsource accountability. When something goes wrong, pointing the finger at your software provider is not a defense. The risk is yours and it's yours alone.
Which, of course, leads us perfectly into our second move, rewriting vendor oversight. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you can't blame your vendor, then you have to manage them with a completely different level of intensity. Your old vendor oversight checklist? It's not going to cut it. It needs a total overhaul for the age of AI.
So, think of this list right here as your new set of non-negotiables. These are the things that need to be in your vendor contracts, like yesterday. You need to demand audit rights. You need to require proof of bias testing. You have to ensure they can actually explain their automated decisions. And here's the bottom line. If you're talking to a potential vendor and they push back on any of this, that's a massive red flag. They're a compliance liability you just can't afford to take on.
And that brings us to our third and final move, scaling AI deliberately. This is all about being strategic. You can't treat AI adoption like a light switch that you just flip on for the whole organization at once. No way! The smartest, and frankly, the safest approach is to be deliberate and build your case step by step.
This chart really lays out the roadmap perfectly. You want to walk before you run. Start with the lower risk stuff that still gives you high value. Things like document classification or automating internal workflows. Get your governance right there. Nail down your controls, learn the lessons, and then, only then, should you even think about pointing this powerful technology at the really high-impact decisions, like credit eligibility or pricing.
And here's the genius of this approach. It's not just about being cautious. By rolling it out in stages like this, you're actively creating the exact evidence trail that regulators are going to demand to see. It lets you document everything, performance, overrides, fairness testing, and prove that you actually understand and control the technology before you use it where it matters most. So as we start to wrap this up, let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. Because ultimately, this isn't just about dodging fines or staying out of trouble. The lenders who get this right, who are proactive about it, they're playing a much bigger, much more strategic game.
See, in the AI era, the whole idea of compliance is changing. It's no longer about just checking a bunch of technical boxes. It's evolving. It's becoming about building provable, demonstrable trust. With regulators, sure, but also with your investors, and most importantly, with your borrowers.
And that is the real opportunity here. By doing the hard work now, building real governance, managing your vendors, scaling responsibly, you're not just playing defense. You are putting your organization in a position to actually lead. You get to help define what good, fair, and effective AI looks like for the entire mortgage industry going forward.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. As this new AI-driven world takes shape, is your organization going to be playing defense, always one step behind, just trying to keep up with the rules? Or are you going to be one of the ones that gets to define what's next? The choices you're making right now are going to answer that question.